Hello, Rangers. Mr. Miedema here. I am going to go over some of our notes. We began the year, we talked about the table saw, the joiner, the planer, the miter saw, the bandsaw, some of those bigger tools. And then I skipped a bunch of our notes because I thought we might end up remote at some point, and I wanted to save some of the stuff that we could actually kind of do from home and still cover some information without using up our shop time. So I'm going to go to hand tools today. We used to do the pen bases that we just did all with hand tools. We would use a thing called a smooth plane or a jack plane, something like this. And we would do all handwork, trying to get it smooth and to thickness and to shape. But now I use the power tools to do that, but we still have a bunch of those tools in there. One of those tools I do still use a lot is called a low angle block plane. The angle of that plane, that knife, is considerably smaller than the one I just showed you. The angle is less, and so it cuts on a finer, against the grain, nicer and cleaner. And so we can use that for cutting stuff down, shaping stuff, cleaning things up. So when I'm a carpenter working on stuff at home, or fine woodworking, I like to keep one of those right in my tool belt because it's kind of a nice little tool to use for cleaning things up. One thing you do notice, I don't know, you can't see it because you're not in here, but I lay it down on its side. I don't want that knife to get marred, and so when I'm done with it, I just set it down on the side. And the power tool cabinet or the hand tool cabinet, it's got a little foot that it sits on, so those knives don't actually get on anything. So one thing to remember when you're using a block plane, any kind of plane actually. Chisels. I've got a couple different chisels in the shop. I have got the nice black one that doesn't have tape on it. It's got a good edge on it. And then I've got a cheap junk one that I have tape on it. And so these are the ones that we use for scraping glue. I kind of talked about that before. Don't use these for scraping glue. These are much nicer, a better metal. It takes me a lot longer to sharpen these. These I just hit on the grinder, clean them up, and we scrape glue with them. So this is for wood. This is for project scraping glue, pretty much anything you want. Combination square looks like this. And so we've got a combination square. It has got a 90-degree angle. It's got a 45-degree angle. It's got a ruler. Some of them actually have a level in here. This one is missing. You can loosen this up, and you can set it for a particular width. So you want to measure 4 inches. You can set this up for 4 inches. And you can use it as a guide, and you can measure 4 inches down. So this is a combination square. We use it a lot in here. It's got a ruler on it also. You can measure. Pretty sweet tool. Tri-square is on the bottom of the door over here. And again, it's used for squaring. We can put it up on the table saw or the joiner to make sure that the fences are 90 degrees on the outside. You can check your project for squareness here. It's got a little ruler on the edge also. And so you can use it for measuring. It's got a little 45 angle, so you can also measure on a 45 too. You can check a bevel. So that is a tri-square. All right. Framing square is a little bit bigger. It's usually 2 feet by 18 inches. And so when I'm framing my garage, when I did frame my garage this summer, I used rafters. And so I had to use this to set up the pitch for the rafters. Kind of use it a lot for construction like that. But if we have something that we want to square kind of large, we can use that for our project. So this is a framing square, 2 foot by 18 inches. And again, it also has a ruler on it. And there's like tenths and eighths and 16s and 30-seconds, depending on what side you grab. Steel ruler, we got a couple of those you've probably been using. A 1 foot ruler. Like this one. We have a yardstick. And that's in inches on both sides. There is a couple meter sticks in there too, which I prefer not to use. I kind of just use those as straight edges. They've been around here longer than I have. We also have some tape measures up here on the door. So we can measure for those if we can find them, because they're kind of a hot commodity in the shop. Hammers. This is our broken claw hammer. The handle just broke earlier this year. So someone cleaned it all up for me, and now I need to get a new handle for it and put this one back into use. So again, claw hammer for pounding on things. Got that claw on the back for pulling nails. Typically not something we use a lot in the shop as far as nails go, but that is a claw hammer. These are called dead blow mallets, and they're kind of like maracas. All right, back here. I was just talking about the Deadbolt mallet. I had to splice these videos together. And so anyway, there's like a shot. You can hear better in this one. It's like maracas, making a little music here. Anyway, when I am pounding on a project and I want to put something together, like a joint, and I want to bang on it, okay, all that shot goes to one side and then the hammer doesn't bounce. So it's kind of a nice way to knock a couple joints together if you need a little extra help, a little persuasion from the Deadbolt mallet. It's also got a softer face, so it doesn't hurt anything. I still would like to use a piece of wood before I hit my project, make sure I hit on the piece of wood first, and so I don't put any gouges or marks in from the mallet. T-bevel looks like this, and that's used for finding angles. So if you want to try to find the angle, you can lock it in, and you can replicate that angle with a sliding T-bevel. Looks like a T, finds bevels, so that's the name, sliding T-bevel. Slotted screwdriver. You've got your straight bits. Can't find this thing. Slotted, sometimes they call it, or straight. And then we have the Phillips. Looks like a little plus. So Phillips and slotted screwdrivers. Next thing on the list is power hand tools. We have a couple different routers we can look at, and so I'm going to pause this a minute, and we're going to pull out some of those routers. All right, so this is a router. A router is like this. We've been using them for our pen bases. It goes under some of them go under the table, and then they put that profile on there. Bit spins really fast. This one's got a little T-slot bit in there. This is particularly called a plunge router, and so when you pull this little lever here on the back, and then this bottom base, sorry, this is ridiculous. All right, here we go. So if it's down, I can plunge into my cut, lock it, and then you can see sideways that bit comes through there and can make a cut for you wherever you want to direct your router. This is a plunge router. This is a laminate trimmer. It's got a standard base on it, and so I just set the base with a screw on the side. There's a little set screw up here, and you can raise and lower that height. And this one just goes around, and we can hand shape with a laminate trimmer with a standard base. We always go counterclockwise around the project so that we don't get splintering. Like I told you with your pen bases, we want to start across the grain, and then we're going to go with the grain, across the grain, and then we always end with the grain. And that way, when this wood splinters out, because the bit comes past it, it hasn't been cut on this side yet. And so then it's always kind of cleaning itself up as it goes. If we start on the end grain, we're going to end up and have a splinter somewhere. I often do multiple passes like you did with the pen base. I had to go down like 4 or 5 times, getting deeper and deeper each time. The less we take off, the more we can control it and have a safer route. You might have watched me when we did the pen base, how I did a last pass. It was kind of real light, real thin, and I just kind of quick went over some of yours to kind of clean up some burn. So I like to do a real thin, like a 64th of an inch pass as I'm finishing. If I go too fast, it'll chatter, it kind of makes some bumps, and if I go too slow, it can kind of burn. So you want to find a medium feed rate, depending also on your grain, or sorry, on your species of wood. Finish sanders. All right, back again. We have a sheet of sandpaper here. This is a 120 grit, and it is 9 by 11. And this is a quarter sheet finishing sander. And so if I take one of those sheets out of this pack, cut it into 4 equal pieces, okay, they will fit by 4.5 by 5.5 on one of these sanders. So I can cut one of those, use it on 4 different sanders, or use it 4 different times on one sander. But that's a quarter sheet finishing sander. Last year we got a bunch of hook and loop sanders. Some of these Festool, I think I talked about those a little bit. And so they are hook and loop, which is what you guys might call Velcro, but we call it hook and loop in the wood shop. Those have a variable speed. They work really good if the dust collector is hooked up, so use that or the dust bag, and that makes the sanding paper last longer when it's hooked up to the dust collector. Awesome little tools that we got. All right, a couple more hand power tools. So this is called a belt sander, and so the sanding the part is a belt. It goes around and around in circles, and we can control this with both hands, and we can sand on our project if it's big. If I wanted to redo the benches in the shop, kind of clean those up, I might use a belt sander. If I wanted to do some flooring, clean up some flooring, I might use a belt sander. Kind of a pretty brutish, kind of pretty rough. So it's kind of a preliminary sanding. You probably want to finish it up with some kind of finish sander. After the belt sander, we have a jigsaw. Looks like this. Got the Sweet Bosch one, and it works really, really well. And so the jigsaw, we can cut in, do a handle for something. The bit uses a little lever here on the top, and the bit pops out. And again, variable speed. You pull the trigger, it goes faster or lower depending on how far you pull the trigger. Nice little jigsaw. And the last couple things here are drill motors. We have a couple DeWalt ones. The PTO bought us some new drills the last couple of years. And so the drill here, we can put regular, it's got a drill chuck. We put regular drill bits in the end of that, kind of normal. Got forward, reverse, we got high and low. Got a clutch system for drilling in. And then there's an impact driver, which is like this. And this is, as it goes, it kind of wraps against the edge and can kind of give you a little more torque. But it's smaller, but you have to use that hexagonal shape bit and that. And so it's got a little light on it. Anyway, impact driver and drill motor. And those are both cordless. We do have a couple drill motors that are corded. Should we run out of batteries or need more drills. Anyway, that is it for my hand tool presentation. What I want you to do for your assignment is to go on the internet. I want you to find a picture of each one of these tools and post it to a Google Drive assignment and then put it in our classroom. And so I will count how many pictures you need, and I will post that on the assignment for tomorrow, or actually for Tuesday, whatever day you're watching this. Anyway, have a great day, and finish up that assignment and get it turned in, and we will see you soon.